Talking the great cosmic wars. Hey, is it possible? Great battles been fought in our solar system? I have been trying to, you know, get this out. And it's hard, I'm not going to lie. And your boy's a little tired. I've been through a long day. Matter of fact, a lot of my days are long. Because I have to research, I have to, prepare for these shows. But I love doing it. Doing Dark Skies, trying to open eyes, trying to find the real people in the world and trying to connect them. Give us an opportunity. Give us a platform where we could actually, reach each other and maybe make a difference in this crazy universe we find ourselves in. And even with the anomalies, even with the possibility of everything being simulated, even with the possibility of our history being unknown, fabricated, covered up. It's still interesting. And that's just to say the least, people. I, was talking about the moon earlier, right? About it being way too big to be a moon, a satellite, like the rest of the planets in our observable universe that have moons going around it. Pretty much seems to be a solar rule or a cosmic rule that, these satellites or moons that go around these planets out here are basically 5% the mass of the planet that it orbits. And if you look at the moon, it's definitely more than 5% the mass of the Earth. Matter of fact, the moon is so large that, it affects all the different areas of, like the Earth, our atmosphere, our ocean, our tides, our bodies. We're affected by the moon. Our bodies is a large percentage of water, right? So with the movement of such a heavenly body so close to our planet, the moon affects our bodies. But it's incredible because if you look at it, the phases of the moon, why it do that? It's not the shadow of the Earth. It's obvious that, the moon is basically a piece of something. I would say a piece of a planet. Especially if you look at it and look at that asteroid belt and you can say that, it's possible that, the moon is just a piece of, a planet, and that's why it's so huge. That's why it goes through its phases and becomes as small as a crescent moon, because a lot of it is missing. The rest of it, I bet, is over there in that asteroid belt. So it's amazing if you really think about it. The dark side of the moon, that's probably the destroyed side. The part where that asteroid belt is, the rocks that exist there came from. Now, I definitely started in the late hours. We was getting the show ready late into the night. And I debated if I wanted to, do the show later on today. But we already have another show for later on today. So, I bit the bullet and I said, you know what, I'm going to stay up and I'm going to do the Great Cosmic Wars. I'm going to try to, get the introduction, get the idea, the information out, and, hopefully I can stay awake and maybe, the strong weed won't put me to sleep, or just, my exhaustion from just working all day and then coming into the studio and, sitting behind this mic. And like I said, I would not rather do anything else but this, because I believe like what we're doing here is like needed, and I believe that we're doing the world a favor by, digging deep and trying to learn about, our past. I mean, there's so many different elements of, the human species. But one part that leaves me with a bad taste in my mouth is our history. I mean, the theory of evolution, even the Bible story of Adam and Eve, and it's just all of these things just seem to have holes in them. These things that say that, I guess the population of the earth is about 7.6 billion at this moment, and all of these people came from Adam and Eve. I can't believe that. But also, that, we were gorillas at one point, and we ended up evolving into cavemen, Cro-Magnons, but then eventually into what we are today. Now, the theory of evolution, I believe, is crap. It just doesn't make sense. I mean, if there was really an ancient gorilla and that we evolved from, I mean, then it wouldn't be no more gorillas, right? Because they would have all evolved into us. But yet there's still gorillas and us existing at the same time. I mean, there was no time travel, nothing involved. I mean, they're just gorillas and it's us. And I don't see no connection. Even science admits that there's a missing link. Now, some gorilla dude walking around. And some say it's Bigfoot. Bigfoot is the missing link. First of all, Bigfoot don't seem to be human or ape. Especially if you look at some of the pictures or some of the foggy videos. Seems to be, some big hairy creature. Like Chewbacca. But anyway, I digress. I mean, we have an opportunity right now in this time and space to reach one another and try to make a difference in each other's life. Because I don't care if you're in Australia, if you're in France, Germany, Turkey, China, Canada, you can find moments of loneliness when you live in a world that doesn't really seem to make sense. And I know a lot of people have pulled away, chose not to participate. And I can understand that. But there's so much to be learned. There's so much information out there that we need to share with one another. In order to better understand where we're at, we must understand where we came from. And in order to understand where we're going, we must understand where we're at. And these are some of the things that, I live by. And I try to get people to understand these things because it's important for us to grow. We can't remain stagnant. Yeah, it's possible that, it was Great Battle's fault. I mean, the ancient stories of the Vamana in India and flying machines. And also, the pyramids and the alignments and the Nazca lines are stuff that you can't see unless you're, high up in the sky. I mean, there's no explanation for these things except, the theory that perhaps these things have pretty much always been around. This technology is old. And when I say old, I mean ancient. It's hard to believe that there's nothing special about us. What we are, what we could become, what we used to be. Perhaps we have earned the right to better affiliate ourselves with the surrounding universe. You know, what was we created for? Why are we so limited? Will we ever reach the point where we used to be? Or at least where we have the ability to do all the things that, hey, I believe that we can do? Well, I don't know. But the first thing is we need to open our minds, we need to open our eyes, and we need to open our hearts. So, all the people that's listening to this podcast, I know you're real. Because this attracts the real, and real recognize real. So, it's important for us to, stay connected. So, make sure y'all subscribing and, hitting the like button, dropping comments, and letting everybody know who you are, where you at, and just to know, you're not alone. Because we're all in this together, and we hope to, figure this out together. Because I don't think none of us can do it on our own, but together, we're a force. So let's stay together. Let's continue to, support this podcast, because this is your podcast. Each and every one of you who are listening, this podcast was designed especially for you. This is not the L.C. Gray show. I'm the host. I'm just the deliverer of the knowledge, the protector of his knowledge. I'm like the Sphinx. I sit in front of the Giza Plateau, the Lion King, watching over Cairo and the land of free thinking. I understand that we have come a long way. I understand that many of us have been lost. I understand that many of us are asleep or just completely disconnected from this crazy existence that we're currently experiencing. And when I say not participating, I mean, off grid. They don't have cell phones. They don't have any way to, take in this podcast. That's why it's important for each and every one of us to, to stay connected, because when the time comes, we'll all have an opportunity to work together in order to solve some of the most complex problems in human history, especially just trying to understand our past and where we came from, and, what kind of things was happening, not just in our skies, but in space, under our oceans. So we definitely have more shows on this series, The Great Cosmic War. We're going to talk about, our connection to the stars, and what does it really mean to, see one of these crazy battles. And also, we're going to talk about, over time, the documentation of, events that say that, we had some type of altercation or some type of problem with an alien species that we call alien, but who knows? Some people believe that these UFOs that we see in the sky are actually from Earth. Reptilian. So, we're going to visit some of these theories coming up later on. We also got a show coming up on dinosaurs as well as giants. So we're going to keep pressing hard, asking tough questions, and trying to put ourselves in a position to, be better humans. But at the same time, free thinkers and people who use our minds and try to understand what's going on around us and make the best of it, because you can't fix everything, at least not overnight. But you can't fix anything if you don't know what to fix or what's broke. So, like I said, we continue to research